The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised. You are listening to Zeitgeist Lab Collections from Itchy Grundle Podcast. In Collection 3, Brian and Alex metaphorically traveled north to Canada to investigate the Canadian content that seems to be pervasive everywhere. This is Episode 11, the Degrassi franchise.
All right, welcome to the Zeitgeist Lab Collections Podcast. My name is Alex.
My name is Brian.
And tonight, for a first, we are joined by a guest for the full episode. So everyone, please welcome to the podcast Shirley, a.k.a. Shirlgirl68. Shirley, welcome to the Zeitgeist Lab.
Hi, thank you. It's nice to be here.
So yeah, this is a first, having our guest on for the whole episode, and the reason that you're here is because you kind of handpicked tonight's topic for us, which we'll get into that later. But I needed another Canadian thing. I reached out to see if you wanted to be on the podcast, and you said, "Well, let's talk about this thing." I said, "Okay, but we need you on the full episode because I have I don't know anything about what we're here to talk about tonight." So hopefully you have come prepared to give your expert knowledge and opinion about our subject tonight. But before we get into that, how are you doing this fine is it Thursday? Thursday night, yeah.
Thursday late night.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm usually asleep 2 hours ago.
Okay.
So I think I've come out of the really tired part of the evening though, and I'm feeling good.
Gotcha. So are you at that point now where you just won't sleep at all, or you're just going to stay up all night?
Well, that was a sip of coffee I just took. We'll see. Coffee and eggnog.
Gotcha. Oh, coffee and eggnog. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Brian, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. I'm feeling pretty good. I've been in a good mood all week.
Oh, that's good. Is the Christmas spirit finally is it upon you?
No, it has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
I'm just making money.
Okay, that's definitely a reason to be happy if you're a capitalist.
Getting paid every week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. All right, well, so we're here. We're talking about Canada. Shirley, you live in Canada. You're an actual Canadian, so you know more about Canada than us. So, I mean, where in Canada are you even? When you said you were you're 3 hours ahead of me, right? So are you in Newfoundland or something? I don't know how Canada works.
I'm close to Newfoundland. Okay. I'm in New Brunswick, Fredericton, New Brunswick.
Okay.
And I think Newfoundland is actually its time zone is a half an hour ahead of ours.
Yeah, I learned that when we had Pan Blurry on earlier.
Yeah, that's right.
And he was like, "Oh, I'm 3.5 hours ahead of you." I was like, "What? That doesn't make any sense. I've never heard of someone who's and a half hour ahead of it was just kind of weird. I didn't know they had their own special time zone."
Yeah.
So New Brunswick, that's in the middle of December. Is it basically just completely frozen over up there? What is Canada ever nice during the winter, or is it just basically a tundra?
It depends. Our winters have varied. There were 3 winters in a row where this time of year there were snowbanks to my shoulders on either side of the sidewalk. This year, I can still see grass. Now.
Okay.
So it snowed, but then it's rained. I haven't put on a winter jacket yet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's been the last 2 winters. But I grew up in Ontario. I've experienced winter kind of across Canada, and yeah, it's cold. Generally,
right, yeah.
It sucks.
Okay. So, I mean, just generally speaking, CanCon, Canadian content. I've been told that it's very bizarre for an American to know the term CanCon because it's a government term or something. So now I feel very self-conscious about saying CanCon. But from your standpoint, what are you big into Canadian content? Do you have that hometown or home country pride, or do you just don't care, or is it somewhere in between?
I would say it's somewhere different, to where. I didn't even really know about it either, really. I'm more and more realizing how many things are Canadian that I didn't realize were Canadian.
Okay.
Like, I think it was on the 155 pod that I first heard the word CanCon, and that I first learned that like Gob was Canadian. And like, I love Gob. Like, I've seen them a few times. Like, I'm just like, don't know what's Canadian. I learned on one of your episodes that Propagandhi is Canadian, and I love Propagandhi. Like,
well, there you go.
And
we're educating people.
We're educating Canadians about Canada. That's perfect.
It's true. Yep. But like, I definitely don't have like national pride. But like, when I learn about things that are Canadian, like artistic endeavors, like CanCon stuff, I feel good about that.
Okay. Nice. All right. Well, cool. So yeah, this is the first time, like I said, we've had a guest on for the whole episode. So you're gonna get to be here and help answer some of the great questions that have come in from our loyal listeners who are known as the Grundle. I thought it'd be good to have you on this segment just because a few episodes ago you kind of put us on the spot. Like, I feel like you put me in a really awful position to talk about Free Britney and also Taylor Swift. And so I was hoping for maybe some controversial questions tonight for you to maybe answer, but I was reading through them. I don't think there's going to be any like hot topics tonight, but I still thought like I wanted you to have to account for having to make me talk about these topics.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So Brian, what is the Grundle? What do they want us to talk about tonight?
Let's see here.
While Brian's looking that up, did I get either of the takes on Taylor Swift or Britney Spears right, or was I just completely off base? Did you listen back to the
No, I did listen back. I think you were like a little hesitant to talk about like the Free Britney thing. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised to hear you say it was controversial, because I don't think it's very controversial that like she's free, right? I think I think everyone's pretty happy about that. And I mean, your takes on Taylor Swift were fair. Like, she's not for everyone.
Right.
I do agree with Brian. I could like Taylor Swift stans could do better, and I do better than Taylor, but she's up there too.
Okay.
I'm kind of over it though. I haven't listened to Red in like a week. So.
Oh, a whole week. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, Brian, have you had time to see what we're talking about?
Yep, I found it. I'm really high, so it took me a while to find this tweet.
Perfect.
All right, so we got one from Pan Blurry who wants to know, how do you imagine an encounter between Daniel DeVille from Pantychrist, Alan Doyle from Great Big Sea, Ken Finkelman from The Newsroom, and Denzel McFarlane from the OBGMs would go? I don't know. I'm nervous about people listening to this podcast about that like secretly listen to it, you know. Because I feel like I've said negative things about all of these people at one point or another. Sure, or maybe a backhanded compliment at the very best.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, then why don't you answer first, Brian? What do you think it'd be like if these four people got in a room together?
I don't think I could look the Great Big Sea guy in the eyes, that's for sure.
Okay.
So I don't want to imagine myself in a room with them. I think it'd be incredibly awkward because, like I said, I don't think I've really spoke extremely highly of any of these people.
Wait, is the question if we were in the room with them?
I thought the question was if they were all in a room together. I don't know if I have to be there, like we have to be there.
Okay.
I interpreted it as I'm stuck in a room with all these people.
Okay, well, yeah,
interesting.
It's up to your own perception, I guess.
Yeah.
So you would feel awkward because you think they would know that you talked shit on them, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'll go next. I have no idea what this would be like because to say that I research anything for this podcast is laughable at best. So I don't know really anything about these people. Is the one from Pantychrist, is she the one that murdered someone? So that would be weird. Sorry, like she was accused of murder?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I imagine Alan Doyle would be doing some sort of yodeling. Ken Finkelman would definitely be sexually harassing the girl from Pantychrist, and the guy from the OBGMS or OBGM, he would just be walking around correcting everyone on how to say the band name, because apparently there's a correct way to format it and say it and talk about it. So
that's surprised they interacted with us on Twitter at all.
Yeah, and yet they didn't retweet that we did a fucking episode about them. So I don't know what that's about.
Not a lot of people retweet us.
No.
After
I'll
being
start.
on a podcast.
I don't know if you want to be on my Twitter feed, but
sure, we'll be on any Twitter feed.
We'll go anywhere, yeah.
Like I don't care if, like, I don't know, Ted Cruz can retweet us for all I care, as long as we're getting numbers. That's all I care about. Okay, Shirley, I mean, do you, outside of any episodes of ours you may have listened to about these subjects, do you know anything about these bands and or performers to make a guess on what it would be like to have them all together?
No, yeah. Even after listening to the episodes, I still feel like I don't know much about these individuals, and that's nothing against all of your research.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I don't even know if I'd be able to tell them apart from each other. Like, I wouldn't know who was who.
Right. So you're saying that even though you're super close to Newfoundland, you're not a Great Big Sea fan?
I mean, I'll sing along with the hits when they come on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's as far as it goes.
That's as far as it goes.
Yeah. And I have no idea what they look like.
Okay, well, Alan Doyle looks like Scott Stapp, the lead singer from Creed. That's all I know. So I would recognize
I don't know
him.
what he looks like either.
You can't picture the lead singer from Creed?
He looks really awesome.
Looks really, really awesome.
Creed's Canadian, right?
Are they? I don't think so.
Surprisingly, no.
Oh shit! See, I don't know. I don't know Canada stuff. Like, you sent me a list of like the episodes that you had planned for the rest of your season, and I was like, I can't say anything about any of this.
Right. I believe you refer to yourself as
I'm a bad Canadian.
Yeah, bad Canadian. Did you also say you were maybe a boring Canadian?
A boring, bad, dumb Canadian.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I don't know. This is the sort of question, he's our executive producer, so I'm not gonna, diss on his question, but this is one of those questions that I just have no idea what to do with. So, but thank you, sir, for submitting this question. I hope you're pleased with our response.
I just want to add one quick thing, that if my parents were in the room, they would be able to tell the Great Big Sea guy who he was, because they got to see like an almost private show of Great Big Sea in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
My dad's company, they played their Christmas party.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
That's crazy.
So, shout out Mom and Dad.
Right?
Yeah,
and make sure to tell Mom and Dad to listen to our Great Big Sea episode, because, again, I just really want people to download our episodes. Even if you just listen for 5 minutes, I see that little number go up. It's like a hit of adrenaline or, whatever. So I need people listening is what I'm saying.
I'll send them over.
Okay, Brian, what's our next question?
All right, next is from Toes, who wants to know, if you could spend a day with any dead president, who would it be and why? And what would you do?
Okay. A great question for Canada season, since Canada definitely has a president.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll start. I would spend the day with George W. Bush to see if he's really as stupid as everyone thinks he is.
No, it's a dead president.
Oh, it's dead president?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I guess Ronald Reagan to see if he's as awesome as all the Republicans seem to think he is, because despite technically being a Republican, I think that Ronald Reagan's pretty detestable, but they seem to think he's just like some godlike fellow. So maybe I'd spend the day with him and see if he's really as cool. And plus, he always had a jar of jelly beans, so free candy.
That's a good reason right there.
Yeah.
All right, Shirley, do you know any dead presidents? He didn't specify the United States, so if you know presidents from other countries, you could pick that.
Wait, no, Alex, what would you do with
Oh, yeah.
We eat jelly beans, and we talk about trickle-down economics.
Okay.
Oh, and then I'd take him snowboarding, even though I don't snowboard. But I imagine
why?
We'd be in Utah, right? I guess. I don't know where this is happening. I don't know. I just feel like, Ronald Reagan should see what it's like to shred the snow. So I don't even know how to talk about these things. So I don't know.
Bold of you to assume he hasn't.
You think that maybe Ronald Reagan has snowboarded? Was snowboarding even around back then?
In some form, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, if he has,
I shouldn't
maybe
say
he
I'm
could
sure.
teach me a lesson or two. So either way, yeah, let's get him out on the slopes and see what happens. Okay, Shirley, do you have an answer for this question?
I might need help with it. Which dead president would know the most about aliens? Like, who was around for the Roswell incident?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't even know what year the Roswell incident was. Let's see. Looks like Roswell was 1947, so that would be Harry Truman?
1947?
Yeah, so President Truman would have been in office
You
at
knew
the
that off
time.
the top of your head?
I'm a poli-sci Alex. The poli-sci stands for political
Good
science.
point. Okay, I take it back.
Who did you say?
Harry S. Truman, I believe.
Okay, yeah, checks out.
Perfect.
I googled it too. I guess I'd want to meet him and talk about aliens, but he probably wouldn't tell me much.
Well, he's dead. I mean, he could probably tell you everything because there's no repercussions.
Yeah, does he have to protect
Right.
national secrets once he's dead?
Yeah, good question. Now, what position would that put me in, though, if all of a sudden I knew the truth? Maybe
Well, then you'd be an enemy to our country, I assume, and the CIA would probably quietly dispose of you.
Okay, can you edit all that part out?
Right.
Yeah, I really want to know what the presidents know about aliens.
Yeah.
I'm sure even more presidents than Harry know.
You think so? I always thought it was... I don't know if you ever saw Independence Day, but in that, the president's like, I didn't know any of this stuff, and the army guy's like, well, it was a need-to-know basis. In my mind, not even the president knows some of this stuff because... the real, the shadow government, the military is kind of well, why the hell would we tell the president that? I'm sorry, if the president knew about aliens,
right.
Donald Trump would have tweeted about it. So at the very least, I don't think Donald Trump knew anything about aliens.
I feel like he did tweet about aliens. But nothing actual.
Well, probably just something stupid like Hillary Clinton's an alien.
I just Googled Trump aliens.
Uh-huh.
I have a headline here: Trump's 5 most notable UFO moments.
Okay.
Let's just leave it at the headline, though. I want to use my imagination.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's my answer.
Perfect. Okay, Brian, it's your turn.
Yep. I'd choose JFK and we'd go to a titty bar.
What?
Nice.
Why?
Bottle service.
Oh, right.
Because JFK liked titties, and I think that'd be fun.
Okay. Well, I guess that's as good an answer as mine, so. All right. Any other questions, Brian?
Oh, we got one more.
One more. Okay.
Last but not least, from Jordan Lane, a loyal Grundle man. What are your takeaways from Canada season?
Well, Shirley, it sounds like you've listened to at least some of the episodes that we've done about Canada.
You've listened to every episode. You take it away.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on our Canada season so far? Or the main takeaways, I guess.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I'm definitely learning a lot. I wish that one of my takeaways was that I liked the weaker thans, but I tried again after that and I don't.
Damn.
I want to. I really One Great City is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I'm a bad Canadian. The one other show we made sounds bad. The Newsroom.
The Newsroom, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I just am not good at Canada.
You're not good at Canada.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
Right. Okay, Brian, what have your takeaways been so far? What have you learned about Canada?
It's almost as bad as America.
Almost, but not quite.
I haven't liked anything. I mean, like, what are the things we've liked that we've talked about?
The weaker thans?
Yeah, besides the week, which is the one I chose to talk about. What did I walk away liking from this?
You like the Trailer Park Boys?
Yeah, Trailer Park Boys.
That's right. That was the other one I chose.
And actually, sorry to interrupt on your podcast. I like and know the Trailer Park Boys.
Okay.
So I get some Canadian points for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You like
I met Mr. Leahy twice.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But Brian, you like the OBGMS, the whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And you said Pantychrist was okay. Like, I feel like, and you said you liked the cat from True in the Rainbow Kingdom. Like, I feel like you've liked a lot of things.
Yeah, I guess I like more than I think. But the bad stuff like Canada produces. Oh, and then I liked what was that movie called?
Strange Brew.
Strange Brew was great, yeah.
I've still never seen that.
You've never seen Strange Brew? It was okay.
No, whenever I think about watching it, I just listen to your app instead.
Oh, that's perfect. I mean, we had noted Canadian expert Buttermuffin on there, so that's all you need to know about Strange Brew is everything he brought to that episode. So. Okay, my takeaways from Canada season are, I don't know what, amongst our listeners or the people who might listen to this podcast, I am not sure what's more popular, if it's Great Big Sea or Shawn Mendes' lawyer's best friend, but that episode was a hit for us, so I'm left thinking that those are two of the most popular Canadian things amongst Canadians.
Shout out, Mom. Mom and Dad, Great Big Sea,
exactly.
1997.
All right, that's it, Brian?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Brian has a story about work. I want to hear this. So, yeah, please indulge us with your story.
All right, this is, so I work at a call center. I don't want to give away too much, but it's important to know I work at a call center. And I work for a company that, like, you call us and we find you a doctor. Like, we refer people to doctors. What?
You work at a 911 call center. That's what you're talking about, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
No, we basically transfer you to your doctor's office once you tell us the name of your doctor, or we find you a doctor near you when you need one.
Okay.
So basically, I just transfer people to the office voicemails all day. So then I got a call today from this lady who's saying she's interpreting for a deaf person.
Mm-hmm.
And usually my thing is, I was like, hi, my name is Brian. All calls may be monitored for quality purposes. What can I do for you? Which like, I really want to say, how may I disappoint you today? Because I disappoint a lot of people throughout the day when I can't find the doctor they're looking for. So then I ask him, okay, what's the name of the doctor you're looking for? And the interpreter tells me they don't know. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, but if you don't know the doctor, I can't help you. If you don't know the name, I can't help you. Because I have to type the last name into the thing. And if it doesn't come up, then I can't transfer you to their office because I don't have their information. So I'm telling them this. And they're like, are you discriminating against the deaf? That's insensitive of you. I was like, I'm not saying like the deaf person didn't like know. Like, I'm just saying, like, if I can't type in the name, I can't look it up for you, and I can't transfer you to the office. I can't do anything for you if you don't give me a name.
Right.
And they just got really mad and hung up.
Nice.
And they said I was discriminating against the deaf.
All right, well. Breaking news, Brian is an ableist against the deaf. So
yeah, I just wanted to make it clear. Fuck the deaf. What are they going to do? They can't hear this.
Oh, but Podbean has an option to transcribe our pod now, so maybe I'll transcribe this one and send it to, I don't know, www.deaf.com. I don't know where deaf people congregate online.
Probably Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, right. That's probably a good point. You can read on there.
Yeah, they can read, Alex. They can see.
Right, okay.
Deaf is where you can't hear.
Ah, all right. Thank you for the clarification.
Can I tell you something about doctors in New Brunswick, Canada?
Yeah, go ahead.
So like, yeah, we have free healthcare here, and that's awesome.
More.
Right, yeah.
But
Thank you for bragging.
I need more. When I moved to New Brunswick, it was like I've been here for 9 years, and I just got a doctor.
Okay.
So there's like, I was on a list for 9 years waiting for a doctor.
Wait, it's not because like he just decided you didn't need to see a doctor for 9 years. You've been on a waiting list to just get one?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Damn.
I was on hold at Brian's work.
Right now, waiting
for the last 9 years. But I just got one. So
is it just there's a shortage of doctors?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no one wants to work in New Brunswick.
So if you don't have a doctor and something happens, you just have to go to the ER or something? Or like how do you get any
ER
sort of
or walking
treatment?
There's walk-in clinics as well. Okay. Their hours are tricky though. I shouldn't be complaining about health stuff to Americans. I wouldn't have if it didn't come up. But
right. You're fine. Like
but yeah, ER or walk-in clinic.
Gotcha. All right. Well, so it's not all rosy in the land of free healthcare, because I could get a doctor like that. It's just one phone call and I have a doctor that will willingly take all of my money.
And in Canada, they still got to pay for their pills.
Yeah.
You don't get free pills?
We don't get free pills.
That's too bad.
No, but like I had to go to the ER, a piece of ice. This is Canadian too. A piece of ice fell on my head.
What?
That is very Canadian.
And it split my scalp open, and I had to go up for stitches. And like I didn't have to pay a bill for that.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, because you don't have a doctor, but you can go to the ER and it's still free, right?
Yeah.
If I go to the ER, it's going to cost me like $400. Whereas if I could make it till the next time my doctor sees me, at least then it's only like $20 or $50 or something. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's great to have a doctor, but if I could still just go to the ER for free, I would just do that all the time.
There's like YouTube videos for like most stuff though that you'd need to go to the ER for.
Mm-hmm. So you could have just
like learn how to do stitches.
Right.
Yeah. Like I could have gotten someone to YouTube how to put in stitches in a scalp. It'll probably be there.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. Or at least like a WikiHow page or something like that.
Yeah.
Illustrations. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So the topic we're here to discuss tonight is a long-standing television franchise in Canada. Is it pronounced Degrassi or Degrassi?
Yes.
Degrassi.
Degrassi.
Okay. I have
Degrassi.
never heard of this ever, aside from maybe like a few mentions on the 155 pod back when it was like Blink 155, because I think one of their guests might have been on it or something. I don't know. That's not important. But this is
one of their guests had a friendship with one of the actors.
Okay, was that what it was? Okay.
No, they had someone from Degrassi on the show too.
Oh, well, never mind what I said.
They had
Drake. I think it was Drake, right?
Drake.
No, he's from the Drake era though.
Okay.
Oh.
What was his name on the show? Yeah, I can't remember. He was one of the nerds.
Oh, Toby?
Toby, yeah, they had Toby on.
That's
Blink 155.
Yeah. I think that rings a bell.
Okay. So Shirley, you and I had messaged back and forth trying to figure out like what could you come on and talk about, and I needed another episode because one of the CanCon episodes that we were going to do has gotten pushed to a later season. So I was like, I need one more episode. And like you mentioned earlier, I gave you this list of episodes that you could guest on. You're like, I don't know anything about any of these. I was like, okay, well, you pick something because I still need one more episode. And you were like, well, how about Degrassi? I was like, I don't know what that is, but if you're willing to come talk about it, sure. And then I told Brian about it, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's like the most zeitgeisty thing possible out of Canada. And I was like, okay, if you say so. So explain Degrassi to me and did you pick it because it's literally the only Canadian thing you know about? Or is there a particular reason you said, hey, let's talk about this? Like, what is your relationship with this franchise?
Yeah. So like you said, it's one of the only Canadian things that I know is Canadian. And it was just really like iconic and one of the only things that like, I don't know, it's just so distinctly Canadian that it's Canadian content that like you can't not know is Canadian.
Okay.
So I thought that would be good for the pod. Yeah, it was kind of just the first thing that I thought of, and it's something that I love. Like I've watched the series for my whole life.
Okay.
Like it was always on TV when I was around and had cable, and like in my 20s and 30s, I've watched it like 3 or 4 times. Okay. Like the whole thing, not like 3 or 4 episodes. Like.
Oh wow. Okay. So, okay, and I've only ever seen the 2 episodes that you had given to us, and we'll get to those in a few minutes. But I
can't wait to hear what you think about it.
Absolutely. So you said that it's distinctly Canadian. You can't not know it's Canadian. So I wonder if you could tell me how you've arrived at that, because to me, if I would call it distinctly Canadian if they just walk around going like, a boot, sorry, eh.
Right.
Like, there's none of that, at least in the 2 episodes that you asked us to watch. And like, if I had not known it was Canadian, I would be like, yeah, it's some kids at a junior high and then a high school, and this could be anywhere. And I probably, because I'm American, I'd be like, yeah, this could be anywhere in the Midwest of America. Of course, it's American. So what makes you think it's like quintessentially Canadian?
Well, I think that you can definitely hear the Canadian in their accents.
Okay.
Yeah. You can.
Like especially Wheels. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Canadian. And I don't know if it's something about like, you guys know Saved by the Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So Saved by the Bell, just beside Degrassi, like where Saved by the Bell is so like glossy, high production, shiny. And then Degrassi is like dirty, gritty, like.
Yeah.
Like Canadian.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like America. And like, I think that kind of like represents Canada and America.
Okay.
In my view, I guess.
I can see that. Yeah, it is. Degrassi's like really raw compared to Saved by the Bell, which is really glossy, like you said.
Yeah. So production
Mm-hmm.
just seems really. And also, I don't know, maybe it is just like the one thing that I grew up knowing was Canadian. So maybe it's just like my own bias. I'm surprised it didn't just like seem so Canadian to you.
No, it didn't. It struck me more as just like very of an era, right? Like it's because the episodes we watched are from the 80s, I believe, or maybe early 90s. I was like, oh yeah, this definitely has all the makings of something from the late 80s and early 90s. But I didn't pick up on necessarily anything Canadian about it. But maybe I mean, I was watching on my phone, so maybe I just couldn't pick up on the accents very well. But I was like, I don't know. It just seems like kids that could be anywhere in America. Like it's got to be American, right? Like, so
maybe that feeling is why it was translated into over 40 languages.
Oh wow!
Like,
okay,
those kids could be anywhere. They could be in Iceland. This
was big outside of Canada, then. I just missed the boat on it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So Brian, what do you know about Degrassi? Have you watched all of it, or?
I've watched most of the Drake era.
Okay.
With an ex-girlfriend. It was what we'd put on, and then eventually fool around too.
Okay.
It's a really sexy show.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know what was going on there. I mean, it was that show for a really long time. There are other shows that serve the same purpose, but that was a prominent one for better part of a year.
Gotcha. So it was like she was the one that knew about it, and you just watched it with her, or like?
I've heard of Degrassi before,
okay.
But I never had watched it previously.
Did you go back and watch any of the old episodes together? Before?
No, I never saw the old, like the first season or the first the first iteration of it until today. In fact, I didn't know we were gonna watch the first iteration until I clicked on it.
Yeah.
I was like, "What the fuck is this? This isn't like
right, where's Drake? What the hell's going on?"
New York,
right.
Where's Spinner?
Oh, Spinner.
Okay, so maybe now is a good time then, Shirley, walk us through the different eras of Degrassi. Like, because on my research, which as we've talked about, I do extensive and thorough research that cannot be disputed, but I want to give you the chance as the expert to walk us through it. It seems like there's like 4 or 5 different eras of this franchise.
Yeah, there's 5. So okay. The kids of Degrassi ran from 1979 to 1985.
Okay.
And I never watched that one, and it's really hard to find. Like on my last rewatch, I went back and tried to find some stuff on the internet. I couldn't find any video, and I just kind of like read that it was like pretty bad and boring and not like what the show became.
Okay.
So then Degrassi Junior High was 1987 to 1989. And that kind of like Degrassi Junior High went to Degrassi High, which is the next series. And they kind of just like it's kind of one piece.
Well, they just had to take junior out of it because the kids got older, right? Like, oh, well, they're in high school now.
Yeah. Okay. Like it's all the same cast. And then that stopped in 91. And then 10 years later, it was revived with Degrassi Next Generation.
Okay.
And that's Drake era. That ran from 2001 to 2015.
Okay.
And then Netflix picked it up for another iteration of Degrassi Next Class, which was only a year and that got canceled.
Okay. And you're saying you watched all of this except for the first one.
And actually, for Next Generation, I don't think I've seen the last 6 seasons. It got pretty unbearable then as well.
Okay. So you watched the first 4 seasons is what you're saying? And then it got unbearable?
The first, it ran for 15 years.
Oh, 15. I thought you said 10. Sorry, I thought you said 10. Okay.
No, sorry. Yeah, Next Generation was 14 or 15 years.
Okay.
Or seasons anyway. No, years. 2001 to 2015.
Okay.
So the first 7 are good. And then everyone graduates. It's all new people. And it kind of got tired. Okay. Well, maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
You don't know. Yeah.
I didn't. Maybe I just didn't give it enough of a chance.
And the Netflix one, did you watch that? Was that any good?
Yeah. I loved it.
Okay.
It's so ridiculous.
Is it?
Yeah. It's super woke.
Yeah.
There's
which Degrassi kind of always.
Yeah, that's true. But there's a whole
It was always
storyline
woke
where, like,
for its time.
Okay.
Yeah.
What storyline were you gonna
Oh, like where
mention?
like one of them comes out as like a they them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like super of like the times for sure.
And it's shinier
Oh yeah.
than yeah.
It's something
So,
else.
Shirley, are you familiar with like Beverly Hills 90210 or Melrose Place or
Yeah.
shows like that? So when I've ever heard about Degrassi, which again was only on the Blink 155 pod, and I kind of got this inkling that it was some sort of like teen drama type thing, I was like, oh, it's probably a lot like one of those. And then earlier you were comparing it to Saved by the Bell, which I think is probably a more apt thing. So now I kind of want to dive into the episodes that you chose for us to watch and talk about them, because when I watched them I was like, oh holy shit, this is not what I was expecting at all. I was thinking more like, you know, those shows I mentioned, or like One Tree Hill or like something like that, but it was definitely not that. So let's go in chronological order. So the first show you had us watch is from Degrassi Junior High, the 7th episode of the first season, and I believe it's called Best Laid Plans. And for the record, I think I asked you to just pick like the 2 best episodes from anywhere in the franchise, or like the 2 you wanted to talk about.
Okay, wait. Did you say the 2 best? Hold on.
I don't know. Maybe I don't want to hold you to that. But if I did say that, I would be interested in how these were the ones you arrived at. But yeah, I mean, maybe we can refer to our messages and see what exactly I requested of you.
Okay, so I'm safe. You just said can you recommend 2 that we watch?
Okay. All right.
Without any like, I thought you meant can you pick the 2
most ridiculous
worst ones?
The 2 worst ones. Okay.
I mean, so you want to know why I picked them?
Well, let's start with just this first one, Best Laid Plans. Tell me why you picked this one. And again, for a series that's run, it sounds like at least 20 seasons along its whole franchise, you could have picked hundreds of episodes, and this is one of the ones that you started with. So maybe explain why, like why this one?
I wanted you to meet Arthur and Yick.
Okay.
Really badly.
Okay.
And they have some great stuff in this one.
Yeah.
That was pretty important. And I wanted to stay away from some of like the really heavy episodes. Like I have a list here of some of the topics they dive into. And this one's like pretty light. So I thought, and I just think it's like a funny episode. I was kind of thinking about it today and I was like, oh, maybe it was weird to pick the one where like 2 13-year-olds are planning to have sex.
Right.
But you know, it's I think it's a really good demonstration of what the show is.
Okay.
Like dealing with this stuff with these weird, awkward kids. And like what's weirder and more awkward than trying to have sex when you're 13.
Right. Okay, so for the uninitiated amongst us, our listeners, and since you're the expert, Shirley, do you just want to give us like a brief rundown of what this episode was about?
So this episode is mostly about Stephanie K and Wheels, who are going on a second date. The first date went bad because Stephanie got too drunk at the school dance.
Okay.
And ended up in the bathroom all night. So anyway, kind of they make this plan for this date, and like all the kids get really like, oh, you guys are gonna have sex, right? So then it turns into that. Meanwhile, Steph's little brother and his best friend Yick are planning to watch a porno together. Is there a C plot in this one?
I guess the mom is gonna date.
Oh yeah.
But that's like
so.
Very
should I say what happens with the mom?
Sure, yeah.
The mom's a pharmacist, and when Wheels goes to buy condoms for his date with Stephanie K, Steph's mom is the pharmacist that he buys them from.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get busted because when Arthur comes to the door with the same flowers that Steph's mom has, Steph's mom's date. This is confusing.
Right.
Steph's mom also has a date, and he brings the same flowers as Wheels.
Right.
And Steph tried to like arrange things so that her mom was out of the house first, but her date was late. So him and Wheels showed up at the same time with the same flowers. Steph's mom figured out what was going on, and they all got a talking to.
Right. Okay. Perfect. And the kids didn't get to watch their porno. So everyone's night was basically ruined because of this.
Totally.
Okay. Yeah. So Brian, let's start with you in terms of reaction. What did you think of this episode?
I fucking loved this one.
Yeah.
It's so good. At first I was like I was like a little shell shocked, like at first when I figured out we're not watching the Drake or Degrassi.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of like stubborn about it for a little, like the first like couple minutes. Like, fine, I'll get on board with this. But as it progressed, I was like, and like they kept introducing characters and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, the little brother is just awesome.
Was it him that turned you around?
I think so. Yeah. He was like the first character. I was like, okay, I'm on board with this now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of the episode?
I don't know. Like, I guess when like the mom figured out like it was Wheels that like bought the condoms for her daughter.
Yeah.
I guess that when it was revealed that happened.
Okay. So yeah, I kind of like I talked about what I thought it was going to be, and it was definitely very different. So because I am awful at paying attention to detail, I just saw we were watching one episode 105 and then 107. So I actually watched this one second and then realized this was actually from one of the earlier seasons. So I already knew at least a couple of the characters from the other episode we'll talk about. But I thought this one of the two was far superior. And like it has a lot of redeeming qualities. Like I did enjoy a lot of what was going on. But one of the things that struck me was just like maybe it's just because I'm from Utah, like a very conservative, repressed area of probably the whole world. Well, that's not fair, but at least the United States. So like junior high was not like this at all for me. I'm like, no one that I know of anyway was like out having sex or talking about this or even like dressing the way that she dressed at school. I was like, what the hell is going on? Are these kids like 13 or 14? So that was the first thing. I was like, to me, it wasn't necessarily based on like a realistic depiction of junior high school, at least as I know it.
Sure.
But I still like it did like, I think it had moments, but I couldn't determine if they were like supposed to be funny. Like I found some things very funny, but I'm not sure if that was the point. So like, first of all, the mom's date and Wheels, they like walk up to the door at the same time. They just like say nothing to each other and they both know. Like, well, wouldn't you like acknowledge like, oh, hey, oh yeah, what are you here for? Oh, we both have flowers, ha ha ha, or something. But like, there's like literally dead silence.
Yeah.
And then the date just like stands there in awkward silence. And eventually the mom's just like, sorry, you got to go. He's like, oh, it's fine. I understand. He just like walks out. I'm like, it's such a bizarre interaction. So I think that was like my main takeaway was like that. It was just like some parts of it were very just weird, but I did actually really appreciate it. It reminded me more. So I talked about shows that I thought it would be like, but it was more like the show Freaks and Geeks. I don't know if either of you saw that, but that's kind of what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never would have
That
made
is a. Sorry?
That's good.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. I think that was supposed to be funny when the two dudes are standing there. I thought it was funny. Like I was thinking like maybe like Wheels was like, oh, what is this guy here for stuff too?
Right.
Like, these yellow flowers. I think, the choice to have them both come up with the same flowers. Like, come on. That had to be purposely funny.
Right.
I think the name of the porno was really funny.
It was, but now I can't remember what it was.
It's on to my tongue.
Swamp Sex Robots.
Yes.
And there's one moment when like Yick says like, it's so hot, it'll burn your eyes out. And Arthur like looks genuinely like afraid.
Right.
Like, oh, it's so good. The show's so good.
No, this was really good. Like, it definitely made me want to at least watch this iteration of the show. Like, I know I was kind of giving these choices, giving them some shit at the outstart, but this was a decent episode of television. It made me want to watch at least this. But I'm glad you cleared a few things up for me, because I wanted the context of like why was there this awkwardness at the beginning of the episode about needing a second date. So I think you cleared that up for me.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was interesting that at the end they just were like, well, we're just going to be friends. And I don't know if that's how it stayed or not. But but I was researching it because, as I mentioned, this was the second episode that I watched. And the main girl, whose name I can't remember, did you say it's Steph?
Stephanie K. Yeah.
Stephanie K. So I was like, I don't recognize her from the episode I watched last night. And upon doing some research, it seems like she was only in this one season, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate. She was a really good character. She had a good arc, but the actor left because she wanted to move on to greater things.
Mm-hmm. And did she?
And I think no.
Okay.
She was on a show that got canceled after like a season, like more of a conventional family sitcom.
Gotcha.
That failed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Brian or Shirley, did either of you guys have anything else to say about this episode, or are we ready to move on to the second one?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
I think, one thing I want to say while they're still in this young age, and which is something I really love about the show, is that like these kids, like they became better actors as the show went on, but this was all of their first jobs.
Sure.
And like they would wear all their own clothes to set.
Okay.
And like the do their own makeup. And I just think that's like really cool. And I just wanted to mention that somewhere. And maybe while like they're young and this like first season was a good time to say that.
It's almost DIY.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that I always loved about this show too, is like, I don't know if you caught glimpses or paid attention to any of the background actors. Like there's some like cool looking kids in that school. Like the show like definitely has kind of like a punk flavor to it, I feel like.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and one thing, speaking of like, another thing that I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be funny or not, or like I found it funny, but like in that episode, she's like trying to pass a note to Wheels during a class, and the class, he's like talking about double negatives, and he's like, the teacher says something like, well, at your young age, you might not know like to not use double negatives. It's probably like a mistake you make a lot. I'm like, well, these kids are like 14. How many 14-year-olds are struggling with using double negatives? And then he like calls them like future etymologists or like little etymologists or something. Like what fucking class are they taking? Like I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be like part of the joke. Like, haha, they're taking this weird class, or like, is this legitimately what you guys learn in Canada? Is just like your assignment is to write a page of double negatives that won't be graded, but you'll have to read them all in front of the class. Like
that sounds about right. I don't know about we would have had to read them in front of the class, but other than that, that checks out.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
And then one other question. As I was doing my vast and extensive research about this, I was looking at the kids. Is it the kids from Degrassi Street?
The kids of Degrassi Street.
Okay, kids of Degrassi Street. And on the Wikipedia, it just says that some of the cast members from that, some of the kids, ended up being in this junior high series, although it was different roles. Are you familiar with which ones that might be, or not so much since you can't find these older ones?
The only one that I know of is Wheels.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, the only reason I know about him is that actor actually went on to have like a pretty tragic story. Can I talk about that for a minute?
Sure, absolutely.
That actor. So there's an episode later. So the character and the actor have really sad stories. In season 2 of Junior High, I think, or maybe it's season 1, Wheel's parents are killed by a drunk driver.
Oh shit.
And like 2 months before they shot that, Wheel's, the actor's Neil Hope, I think is his name, or was his name. 2 months before his dad like actually died from, I don't know if it was a car accident or not, but his character, can I spoil like the show?
Sure.
Spoilers, everyone, spoilers for a show from 1990. So he, like, you could tell, right? Wheels is a sweet boy. Right?
Absolutely.
And his parents die in this car accident, and he just like gets so fucked up. And in the show, I didn't mention this either. The show wrapped up with a movie in 92. Okay. And in that movie, Wheels drinks and drives and kills a 2-year-old boy.
Oh shit.
And permanently blinds one of his best friends. Damn. And so that happened to his character. And then the actor, there's not too much about his like personal life, except for that like he passed away in 2007 in a boarding house and was unidentified for 4 years.
Oh, whoa. Shit.
Like he was estranged from his family, and I guess like his brother and sister heard like rumors that something happened, but like didn't really like bother to look into it. And then eventually they did in 2000 and what were the years? I don't think I wrote it down anywhere. It was like 4 years later, and he was only identified then. And then fans of the show started learning about it.
Oh, geez.
And I think they like, it was like his death was determined of like natural causes, but still super sad.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you're saying that before his on-screen parents died, like the character's parents, his actual father had died in the same way?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it was, sorry, I don't know if it was the same way. I might have misspoken.
Okay.
Well, so I watched a little thing when I was like learning about Neil Hope, and they like talked to him about it. They knew they wanted to do an episode about death because they like do an episode about everything. Yeah. And they brought it up to him and like asked him, like the show was very like the creators and the kids like collaborated more than I think most shows do.
Okay.
Because the writers wanted it to be authentic. So the actor, like there's clips about him, about Neil talking about how it was actually really helpful for him because like he got to see his character learn to cope with it.
Okay.
With like in the safe space of like these adults, these writers that he trusted and like all his friends. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could say that you might be right though. Just because he was talking about it being a positive thing as like a 14-year-old doesn't necessarily mean like
right
it was.
Well, shit, that's really depressing.
Yeah, sorry. But
oh no, you're fine. Like that's really like it's interesting, and I don't really know what. I don't think there's anything to say there other than that like really sucks that happened to him. Okay, so let's move on to the next episode, which is from the Degrassi High series, also from that first season, episode 7, called Everybody Wants Something. So Shirley, do you want to kind of give us a brief summary of what this episode is about?
This episode is about the Zits making a music video and abortion and think there's another. Oh yeah, this is the episode. I didn't realize it when I picked this one, but you guys might not know this, but Joey and Caitlin broke up in this episode.
Right.
And that's they were a very iconic, like on again, off again, will they, won't they kind of like couple through the whole series. So that happened in this episode as well.
Okay. And so Joey, I recognized from the other episode. Were there any other characters that appeared in the other episode? Because I didn't, as I was watching, like that's the only one I recognized from both episodes. Did I miss something? Or
well, Wheels.
Is Wheels in this one? Okay.
Wheels is he's the bass player.
Oh, okay.
In the Zits.
Gotcha.
I think Lucy. Oh, the twins were in both. Erica and Heather.
Okay.
That might be it though.
Okay. So,
I don't think Snake was in the first one that we watched.
No, I think I definitely would have.
Yeah, I recognize Snake as the principal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's the principal, like in
yes.
the later season or the next generation or whatever, or
in the next generation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also in the Netflix series, he comes back as well.
Yeah, the next generation. It kind of ties into the old one because one of the characters, Spike, has a baby at 14, like in junior high. And then like the next generation is about her kid.
Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Emma.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what made you pick this one for us to watch?
I wanted you guys to meet the band.
Okay.
That was like the big reason. So they're called the Zits now. In junior high, they were called the Zit Remedy.
Okay.
And they only have that one song.
Okay.
Through the whole series. And yeah, I just wanted you guys to meet them. That's why.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for introducing us to these Zits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this being the first one I watched, I was like, what the hell am I watching? So like by the time I got to the junior high one, I was like, I kind of knew what to expect, which is maybe that's why I preferred that one more. But this one I was like, I'm not really sure what's going on here. Like the abortion subplot was kind of odd to me, like because it seemed like it just kind of came out of nowhere, but I'm sure that's because I didn't watch all of the episodes leading up to it. But like it seemed like you had like this really conservative girl who was like, you're a baby murderer, and then another girl who may or may not have had an abortion was like, well, you can't judge me and all this stuff. And then like that fight they had in the hallway was kind of one of the more silly things in the episodes. Like, again, this looks like it's supposed to be comedic, but they're fighting about abortion, which is typically not a comedic subject. So
you thought that was comedic?
Just like the way it was shot, I was like, this does not look like a real fight. I'm like, what are they doing there? Like, it just looks so phony.
Interesting, because when I watched that today, I was like, oh my god, that's so real.
Is it?
That's so realistic. The fight? I thought so. I've never been in a fight though, so
okay. Neither have I, so
yeah. Well, maybe we should fight and see if it's like that.
See if that's right. Okay, perfect. Next time I'm in New Brunswick, we can set that up. So, Brian, what did you think about this episode then?
I had a lot of the same thoughts you did. I thought it was a really weird episode to like the juxtaposition between like the abortion plot and then the let's make a wacky music video plot.
That is very glaring.
And then you have these random breakup scenes with these two other people that I don't know.
Right, yeah.
But apparently that was a big deal.
Yeah, so. Like I felt like I should have cared that they were breaking up, but I was like, I don't know who these people are.
Well, think about them as Zach Morris and Kelly.
Okay. Now you're presupposing that I cared about Saved by the Bell, which I didn't. Like, I know these characters because it's like such an ingrained part of Americana, but I never watched Saved by the Bell.
Okay.
Corey and Topanga, that's a good one. Okay, I get that. That makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to point out about this episode, Shirley, or anything of interest?
Did I write anything down? I have like my notes. I don't know if you can see how like
oh wow
shitty they are. For some reason I was like looking at the Degrassi wiki after I watched these today, and you know the character Clutch, whose car it was.
Oh yeah,
that they bore. That was such a cool car. Also, the only notes I took on this episode or about any of those characters was that, and this was in the trivia section about Clutch, is that he was the first alcoholic student or first alcoholic teen in Degrassi history. And he was one of the only 13 males to grow and wear his hair long.
Oh, okay. So
those are my only notes.
His character was the first alcoholic, or the actor was the first alcoholic?
Well, it says Clutch, so his character.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Anything else, though? I'm trying to... you got to meet Spike, who is like super important character. So she was the one who, you know, the girl who was like anti-abortion, Liz.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So her friend that she was talking to in the hall and they like hugged it out. That's Spike.
Okay.
And Spike is Emma's mom. Yeah, she has a baby at like 14 in this season. I think like a few episodes later she finds out she's pregnant, or a few episodes after like the first one we watched.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to take an aside about another crazy like storyline in this show, the guy who like gets Spike pregnant goes to a concert and takes acid.
Okay.
And then the next day he's found under a bridge and like unconscious, and they don't know if he jumped or if he fell, and he's in a coma for like weeks, and then like when he wakes up has like a very serious like brain injury and like big personality changes.
Okay.
And that I just wanted to like bring that up for kind of a glimpse of some of the places the show goes.
Gotcha. Yeah, it seems like it has a much more, again, serious tone than I would have expected. Like more, it's less soap opera-esque than I would have guessed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because soap operas don't usually tackle like serious issues like abortion or brain injuries or teen pregnancy, at least not in a way that this series seems to.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could give me some more context about something, because one thing I was interested in is and I apologize, I forget some of the characters' names, but what is the history between Clutch and the girl who filmed the music video that she was like, I don't want to have to be around him?
Yeah, Clutch and Lucy. I think a few episodes earlier, Lucy has a house party and Clutch shows up super drunk and belligerent and like tries to like come on to her, and they're dating. Okay. They are dating, but she's like, no, you're drunk. Like, don't touch me. And he's like trying to touch her.
Okay.
And then like his friend ends up like throwing him off of her or whatever.
Gotcha.
And yeah, that's what happened there.
Okay, that explains it. And then did they break up? Because it didn't seem like they were dating in this episode. It seemed like he was like trying to get back in her good graces, maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They broke up.
Okay. Gotcha.
And it seemed like it worked, didn't it?
I don't know.
Like it seemed like by the end of the episode, he was back in her good graces.
Okay.
But she ends up dating the guy who threw him off of her. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And Lucy is actually the character that Wheels blinds in his car accident.
Oh, okay. Jeez.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. They're at a cottage and they're going to get chips. Mm-hmm. And Lucy goes with them. Oh, another thing that happened right before that scene is that the Degrassi movie was aired on CBC, and it was the first Canadian program to ever say the word fuck on TV.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. Degrassi is so edgy.
It's very edgy.
Yeah.
Did Lucy make an appearance in any of the later series, or was that the end of her story, was being blinded in a car accident?
She does make a brief appearance in one of the first episodes of The Next Generation. Do you remember that, Brian?
I don't.
Yeah, it's like I think there must be like a reunion or something. A bunch of the characters come back, and I think she's still blind, and she has like a walker, she walks with a cane. Or maybe she's blind and it's a walking like a. Oh, no, I think that she's like blind and has a problem walking.
Okay. All right. Well, this was super interesting. Like, I would never have guessed that this was something that we should have talked about, but I think it's very clear that it kind of permeates the Canadian pop culture as being kind of like, it seems like it's been kind of ever present, at least since the 80s. So thank you for showing this to me. It sounds like Brian was already kind of aware, at least of the later ones, but this was eye-opening for me. And like I said, there's a chance I might go back and actually watch at least the first few seasons when it was still the junior high one, because I thought it was good. And maybe because I get really invested in characters, I'll probably just like watch to the very end if I start. That's my fear. Like, I don't have time to watch 20 seasons worth of television, but there's a chance that's what would happen if I went back and started binging this.
Well, the holidays are coming up.
That's true.
It'd be a good way to spend your holidays. Cozy up with your wife and kids and learn about safe sex. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I hope I brought some interesting stuff. Table.
Oh, absolutely.
I wish I took more notes. I really stumbled over telling you guys what those episodes were about.
No, I think you did fine.
Thanks.
So before we wrap things up, I did want to plug your Twitch, Shirley. You have a Twitch stream at ShirlGirl68, which is also where people can follow you on Twitter. Did you want to talk at all about what sorts of things you do on your live streams? I know you talk about the Goosebumps book sometimes, but it sounds like you also do other things on there. So what can you tell our listeners about that?
So I don't just talk about the Goosebumps books. We read them.
Oh,
I have like a different friend come on for every book, and we go chapter by chapter and read the whole book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the other thing, so I stream off a MacBook Air. So I do some gaming as well. It's I'm always trying to find games that my laptop can handle streaming. But I just finished Undertale. That was really fun. And I built a gingerbread house on stream yesterday. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, I see it back there. Very nice.
It's behind me. But yeah, I do that kind of stuff.
All right. Well, yeah. If you're listening, you should definitely go check that out. Was there anything else that you wanted to plug or shout out here at the end while you have the opportunity?
Just Canada. Everyone, CanCon more specifically.
Right. And you're learning along with all our listeners. So
that's right. Yeah. Keep listening, everybody.
Right. Exactly. All right. Well, yeah, Shirley, thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Absolutely.
The Zeitgeist Lab Collections podcast, hosted by Brian and Alex, edited by Poli-Sci Alex, executive produced by Can Blurry for Itchy Grundle Podcast.